Okay, so just a quick little video. We're gonna review Shanghai's ball defense on Gibraltar. Usually you run Winston, but Shanghai love their ball, and there is a good reason to. Like ball just excels on maps with a lot of width, and even though this isn't like Sanctuary, like Busan Sanctuary, like this map is still really wide and has a lot of spaces that if you effectively cover, you just shut out the enemy. So we're gonna see how Shanghai, they sometimes fail at it. They aren't as clean as last season, but they still did a decent job. So I want to take a look. So right here, let's look at Shanghai's defense. They're gonna all pack the bridge, and the reason is because if Phillies' backline is here, they can't really like fight past this line. So like the only thing that Philly can productively do is put their Hanzo and Winston over here so that they can launch the engage. Like once they get to this corner. But like if you deny this, it slows down Philly and forces Philly to like either engage from low ground and or like wait a bit, force them to like fight here, force them to clear out this area before they can use this bridge. So like Hanzo would really love this bridge, but if Shanghai are covering this space, Hanzo can't really do all that much. That's why like this Hanzo pick, like a Widow would be really good here, but because even this is a space that is hard for Shanghai to cover and it would force Shanghai to give up server. I would actually like prefer they would go if they go Widow here, but they go Hanzo. They went Hanzo, so oh well. So we're gonna see. They're still gonna try to take bridge, but you see, Winston is kind of scared to even do that. This is a mistake. This is a bit of a mistake from Shanghai, though. Fate should be playing here. Let me show you. Like, Aim God should not even be able to get here, but they need to have at least Ball Tracer covering here. Like, you need to be covering, like, the effective width of the map. Or, like, another way to think of it, you need to be covering the playing space of the map. Now that Shanghai, like, Philly are to this corner, the playing space is no longer just this bridge. Now, this stair, like this stair and this stair, is really important to cover. These are like the three ways for Philly to have their tracer, or in this case, their Ana, to have their tracer mainly get a good pincer onto Shanghai's backline. And also, like, by covering this space as well, you prevent Philly from just W keying in to into Shanghai. So like Shanghai have to be covering this space. They need to have like a ball or a tracer over here. And like you can be a bit more cavalier in covering these stairs. Like the stairs in like the direction I'm pointing. Because these are some long sight lines. And Shanghai's comp is already really good at passively covering these long sight lines. They don't need to do anything to control these longer sight lines. They already do with the Zen and the Sojourn. So like you want to have your ball tracer controlling like the more closed areas and the more dangerous areas. And like that's why you want a ball or a tracer here. And they'll receive a lot of support from Brig Zen. And they can still cover this bridge as well, even if there's players over here. Like just having a Zen or even a Sojourn over here, it's just gonna be really hard. Hard for even Hanzo, for example, to take the space. So like they shouldn't worry about this bridge anymore. They just have to like spread apart and cover the space. I know I'm overanalyzing things, but it's actually really important when you're playing the ball comp. It's like these minor things are so important. And because they didn't do this minor thing, Aim God now has an angle to launch a nade. And if the nade hits the backline, it's over. Thank goodness it missed. But you see how dangerous that was. And and like what could have prevented this play from Aim God? Well, it's easy. Just have someone over here. Just have someone covering the space. And like you have someone over here who can scout this out earlier, you could poke this out earlier, and like this play would just fail. We could even kill Aim God probably. So like it's a It's a 5v4 because someone does have to push cart. So I think, Shanghai might just win this. I mean, yeah, they do. And like the engage failed. Fate did eventually go here and just try to prevent the backline from moving up and punish the backline for just climbing up here. Standard ball play, if the enemy intrudes your space, you punish them. Otherwise, you just let them. Just let your Zen do the work. Just let like your Sojin do the work. You don't need to do anything unless they like intrude your space. I'm not saying like Fate stands here until something happens. Fate should still be harassing the enemy to make it easier for Lip and Izayaki. But like that doesn't mean like be like int. That's what a lot of ball teams do. They find someone, they just slam, they have their tracer going for no reason and they die. Like ball is all about covering space. It's not about constantly attacking. If you want to do that, play Winston. Like he's better at it. And right here we see like a classic play. They're gonna mark tracer, and like I'm gonna borrow a term here. You kind of now have like a bit of priority on this direction. It means that like whoever's over here is so far away from the fight that like you don't need to like be here anymore. Like it's gonna take them time to come back, and they have no resources. You just like pivot to the other side and like take this 5v3 while this tracer is just alone and far away from the fight. So you put a distance between like you and the tracer, and then you just fight this. And Zest has no blinks to really pursue this. Now, that being said, this is like this unlikely win for Philly. Like I don't think they have a chance at all. But so like Philly are just gonna try and like get card progress, which is fine. And eventually they're just gonna die, or they just reset. Yeah. So they chase the staggers. Both teams still don't have ults. Zest is behind. This is kind of dangerous. Shanghai are looking to do a more forward defense, and the reason they can do that is if Zest like forces cart, since Fleta like is not as necessary as Zest to what they want to do. Fleta's like really just there to cover space and like follow up with ball. Like sure, like that's what people expect, but the main job of Fleta is really just to like cover space. And if Zest forces the cart, Fleta just says no problem. Well, I'll just duel you. I'll just have like Zen help me. But like that means that your Winston's gonna be like a lot less effective in getting those kills, like getting those picks onto like the back line. So like Fleta's okay with taking this duel. That's why Shanghai they're not afraid to just hold forward here. Not to mention they like long sight lines, so that's why they don't want to just back up the server and hold blue box. Even though this blue box hold is really powerful. It's a bit more powerful if you're running Winston though, so they don't really prioritize blue box as much. But we already see a lot better of a setup from Shanghai. They're giving up bridge, which is a bit of a vulnerability. MN3 could go here, but on the other hand, like the back line is now like positioned more far behind, so there's not an easy angle really. Now, like if Philly are playing Widow, like this would be a big vulnerability, and Shanghai would be forced to hold server. But Hanzo, it's doable. It's doable to still hold here. Anyways, so we already see like Lip needs to be protected. So we already see like kind of almost a split setup. And this is something that like with the 225 HP more self-sufficient Zen, not to mention how hard it is to actually go for Zen here because of like look at where are the angles. Like as long as you're covering the angles, Zen is safe, so you don't need to have your Brig like close to your Zen. Like you just have your Brig kind of hold this area, like hold this door while like Fleta's trying to hold here, and Fate's probably gonna hold around here, but he doesn't have to. Fate would probably just play like around here. So we already see how Lip and Izayaki are secured with the setup. Fleta covers these two stairs. Li Zhengan covers this. You don't need to cover this space because of the long sight lines, making it hard to do so, preventing like Philly from making progress. This is like one of the reasons why the Winston comp just loses this usually. The Winston comp wants you to use space, but is really bad at taking space compared to this comp. While like this comp, all it has to do is like have space to work with, and Zen and whoever your other DPS other than Tracer is just does all the work. So this is like a really good coverage, really good coverage from Shanghai. And Zest does actually like instead of like pushing cart, he just goes for Izayaki. Now this is where like the more self-sufficient Zen like helps. And and like things do get traded. But like why was this a trade instead of like just a straight blowout? Who's helping Zest here? Winston can't advance because of like the coverage. Like Fate's covering this space so that Winston can just press W. Like Fleta's covering this space, even though he does have to peel back for the Tracer. Li Zhengan's covering this space, so Hanzo can't just sneak by. So like, even though like there is like a gap in their defense, like it's not like this angle gets any help because Shanghai are doing a good job of covering the rest of the angles. But and like you might think, oh, they might have just done this accidentally. Like this setup where Fleta's in the center like this. I think it's deliberate because Shanghai have been playing this for ages, and that has been their game philosophy. Like you can see like in Moon's interview of how like Shanghai focused on which spaces to cover to make the enemy feel pressure. That was the translation. But like this has to be like intentional. Like usually like you would expect Brig Zen to just play as a unit, but this is really smart. And like sure, like you might be like if Li Zhengan was next Izayaki, maybe Zest won't be able to do things, but this opens up another hole. And this opens up a really insanely powerful position for Philly. And good teams are really good at exploiting these gaps in your defenses. You have Li Zhengan here, you have no coverage here. Well, a good DPS player will just like go up here and use the space. And like without with this space means that anyone over here is now under danger. So like they have to back up. But if they have to back up, this means that your Winston gets to jump here and close the distance. So without good space coverage, even though Izayaki himself might be less safe, the entire team is a lot safer with this setup. With this like kind of triangle setup. There's like a clear formation, there's clear spaces being blocked, and Philly, even if they win like a duel, like as a team, they can't close the distance. And that's what matters most. Like you can see the backline, like MN3 was trying to get an angle. And like, he does get like kind of bonked by Lip. But like let's say like he wanted to do things more aggressively and rotate here. I mean Li Zhengan did want to peel back, but like him being here to start stops any like setups where MN3 goes over here and gets a good angle. If he was here, then this would be a lot easier for Philly. Like certainly. But you can see like they're trying to invade, they're trying to engage, but like because of Fate and Fleta just playing around here, they have to commit their bubble over here. And like the backline tries to move up, but they can't clear this flank. And eventually the back line is forced to just back up. They have to use cooldowns to even, instead of like using it for the actual engage, they have to use cooldowns just to close the distance. And even though Izayaki dies, like reflex support dying, like usually obviously is really bad, but but like Shanghai didn't like really play the game around that. Shanghai played the game around. We're just gonna stop your entire enemy team from doing what they want. And I'm sorry for like putting so much attention onto Shanghai's setup, but it's really important to playing this comp. It's really important to like stopping Philly on a map where this comp usually reigns supreme. Okay, so Lip dies. Um, and right here, okay, Lip did have to be more careful. There's, you should know that there's nobody really covering this bridge, so he shouldn't be playing like this wide. He should be playing this corner or even up here, but oh well. 4v5 with Nano. This is kind of dangerous. But on the other hand, Shanghai, they have ults to use. So we see like this, like a similar formation. We see like, you know, Fate and Fleta, like they're positioned around here. Fate's like now playing over here, which means that it's a lot easier to disrupt these rotations. Fate did take like a lot of poke here, so Fate does have to be careful, especially like with these Briggs and heals. But wait, how? What was Fate doing here? Fate was trying to duel like someone. Fate was trying to duel like Zest over here, but honestly, you don't need to. Like this space is unimportant to cover. If Tracer wants to like climb up here, let them. It's long sight lines. It's easy pickings. Like Fate, if like Tracer was like going through here, like Fate probably doesn't want to duel this, but it'd be okay if Fleta was dueling Tracer on mini like all game. Like Fate probably wants the position to prevent the main core of Philly from moving. That's like the difference in between a ball and Tracer when it comes to space coverage. Tracer's more of a scalpel, dueling individual targets, while ball's more of like a sledgehammer, like preventing like the core of the enemy team from moving, like enforcing the space. But like wherever Fate was dueling, like this space didn't really matter. I mean, it probably doesn't matter all that much. He does take damage for Legion Gone to build rally, so like that's good. But I'm just saying, like if this was more in the mid fight, this duel would be a bad idea. You just hold your position. So like MN3 is trying to like get Legion Gone if he peaks, but doesn't get it. But because Legion Gone is holding here, it's really hard for MN3 to do anything. He can peek here, but he's just gonna get like super like dinked from these longer sight lines. Even though like he is playing Honda, which is good in these sight lines, but still, you're playing against like a Zen and like that's pretty hard, regardless. But if MN3 wants to follow up on this nano, they can't. This space is just still being held. They can't just go here like Shanghai. If they're positioned like safely enough, MN3 is basically shut out of the fight. Like his other option is like maybe climb up to here and take this long sightline duel, or peek over here, which might work, but it is hard. It is hard to like get an angle. Oh, so eventually, Shanghai they're forced to back up. Now Izayaki is like kiting they did mess up their kiting. I would expect like Shanghai to kite through server and try to like play this high ground, but Izyaki's now kind of stuck in like the middle of two pincers, and and Shanghai they kind of got traded out. So now they kill Zen. It's gonna be really hard to like force a fight to anyone else because Li Zhenggan's like rallying. So honestly, like right here, Fate's trying to put like mines around the point to stop Philly from just pushing point, which is fine. Li Zhenggan's rallying. Um, Rallying like I guess you just get like some armor and live. This rally probably won't do too much, but on the other hand, does stop Philly from getting more kills. Okay, this fight's a clusterfuck. So here's a problem that they have to solve though. Like this team, like Shanghai, they have like so much stalling power, like insane amount of stalling power. And Li Zhenggan just plays in the mines and like sends packs while Fate just spins around the cart. And without like an off tank or anything, well, you have Hanzo, which is good at dishing out damage, but it's gonna take a while if Philly want to win this. It's gonna take a while to just clear the players off of cart. It's not like they can chase Shanghai all over the place. Like Shanghai's really mobile, so like the thing they have to do is force cart. They have to like someone force cart. Usually, like once you do take this, you would. They haven't taken this completely, but once an attacking team has taken this, you usually just position like a lot of players like on this high ground, and have someone push cart. If they walk in, well, same concept. You just punish them. But Shanghai, like they aren't really afraid to contest cart over here. And the reason has to do with these mines. These mines were actually big. I was understating it, but these mines prevent Philly from making meaningful progress on this cart. If Philly like send Beloshria to like this high ground, he can't really do much because he's gonna be dropping into mines. And maybe he can nano Beloshria, but the rally armor, like that's probably what Philly are gonna look to do. They're gonna nano Beloshria and go for an engage. And indeed they do. And in fact, Li Zhenggan does die. I mean, like he was over here. He was positioning a bit too far into the like a bit too far forward, but doesn't get lipped. Like that engage was lip just escapes. And sure, like they do get a kill from this. The rest of Shanghai are mobile. Like they had to commit like an ult. They had to commit nano just to kill one. That was big. That's big. That's big for Shanghai. Like we're just going over the problems that this comp has over this comp. Like the stalling power of the ball comp can't be under overstated. So now they have control. Now they have control. Like Philly at least have control. And like he's trying to like zone off Belishria. Now here's the problem though. Here's the problem. Where's Tracer? Like the setup that Philly should be going for is to have Winston is to have like Winston like mark this like Winston should probably like play this side because like this is the where the main core of Shanghai will want to retake from, longer sight lines and access to like the high ground and like sight lines wise. And but like you want to have a tracer, just mark any residual angles over here. But where's Zest? Over here, useless. So, and guess who took advantage of that gap? Guess who took advantage of this? Zen. Like Zen doesn't want to retake from these sightlines. Like these sightlines are atrocious. But Zen just walks in. Like Zen's still gonna like look for these pockets of space to rotate into, and they just walk in. Like it's good Shanghai recognized that like the split retake is the best, but like Belushria gets killed. There's no more Winston to deny these sightlines, and like the cart isn't dangerously close in that Shanghai needs to immediately contest. It's just over for Philly. So we already see like Philly like drop into spaghetti. Okay, let's see how does Brig die as well. If Philly was close to Rally, then Rally and Cart might have been effective. Shanghai will have ults in match, but like if they can land a good pulse, maybe the fight's salvageable. Just maybe. Just maybe. But it isn't. But like they don't get Rally. Okay. So okay, now they're going hog. God, they're doing strolling. Yeah, like are they trying to like get a hook pulse or something? Like here's the thing with hog, it's like slow target, easy for Zen. So easy for Zen to farm the fuck out of the hog. Well, like the same concept is gonna apply. Li Zhang gone. I think they couldn't reset in time, so like there's nobody to exploit this not to exploit, like there's nobody to cover the space. If but like Hog, it makes it so hard for Hanzo to exploit this gap in the defense. Like you want to have a Winston drawing or a ball or like any main tank drawing aggro behind, but like you have Hog. So that if MN3 is over here, then Shanghai just back up and kill him, and there's nobody to trade. There's no mobility. But like for Hog to even like close the distance, like Hog's having trouble closing the distance because like there's nothing stopping Shanghai from just like funneling all their attention onto here, and and like how do you stop that by having like players take an angle? But like if those players take an angle, like without a main tank, like Shanghai just literally all focus them, and there's nobody to trade aggression. So like that's why like tanks like Diva, like even Diva's good, like amazing in Overwatch 1. Well, like that's all like Hog, like why they're situational, drawing aggro, the ability to draw aggro, the ability to be mobile, are just so valuable assets. Now, like again, it's Hog, they're trolling, but like I want to explain why Hog. There were murmurings of how like Hog was apparently strong or whatever. I don't believe it. 700 HP, like that'd be good if he wasn't useless otherwise in a professional setting. Maybe like if you're playing like fucking quick play. And I love how Shanghai are just like fuck it, we're just gonna fight. Your Hog's kind of useless in this brawl. And the reason they took this fight, they had pulse, and they're making a rotation through probably the most possible like choke in the game. Well, like honestly, like if the enemy has pulse bomb, you're just losing the fight if you go through here. Like Tracer can just hide over here and like you just go here, he just drops and like pulse bombs and oh you want to chase the Tracer, right? Or no, we're just gonna recall the high ground. Okay, not to mention like this peak is just so and they don't even get to use rally or Dragon Strike is probably useless. Like Dragon Strike is just gonna be so useless. You like with Hog because like normally you have a Winston or a Ball or whatever like you Dragon Strike, you put your main tank behind them. It's either walk into Dragon Strike or walk into your main tank, which you don't want. Hog on the other hand, sure you could do this by like hard flanking and stuff, but it takes so fucking long. It gives time for their comp to just like spam you out. But like even if you do get that, it's like a Hog. It's just like it's so easy to kill, like so easy to deal with. Like I mean, if you get your Hog at the right angle, let's say Hog is somehow makes it a blue box. Sure, you can Dragon Strike. Hog can easily get a hook because of auto distraction and do a lot of damage. But otherwise, see like right here, you should be remarking how little damage Hog's doing. And I know I'm complaining with the Hog a lot, but I just want to make my point. Despite the HP pool and shit, and despite teams like despite teams like some teams like desperately hoping for like an off tank meta, there's a reason why main tanks just reign supreme. The ability to initiate fights is just too important to give up in professional play. So now they switch to a better pick. They switch to the ball, but like they have to touch, so they just kind of divide and conquer this. Oh, Fleta kills Zest, and then they just focus the main core. They can push in with Trance and end. So like Philly kind of dropped the spaghetti, but like before they switched to Hog and just threw their only chance of winning. I mean, they had another chance of winning, but before they switched to Hog, they actually like didn't play all that bad. It's just that this comp's better when played properly. And this video like is all about why that is the case. It's all about covering the right spaces and preventing the enemy from using those spaces. And like, enemy just either walks into you and loses because like, you're set up to punish that, or like the enemy like doesn't do anything. In which case you can just chill and relax and let your Zen do the work. But if you want to play ball comp properly, like this is the thing you need to master. And we also see like how rare it is for Shanghai to actually go for these like backline I'm gonna kill Ana engages with this comp. It's because that's not the point of the comp. The point of the comp is to like hold space. And a team that is good at holding space just wins, and you don't need to like chase kills and stuff. All you need to do is hold the fucking space and like, stop them from pushing cart. And you win the game. It's that simple. That's why like a lot of teams fail in this comp, but the teams that do get this point, they just get easy dubs. Anyways, peace out.